this divine union, this coming together is the moment, like, in this moment I saw it as the truth of our being. And yet it requires a radical acceptance of self. And that comes from an acceptance of the duality that is the nature of life, of the polarity. It's actually bringing me to something that Ashley said to me the other day, which was so profound, that divine union arises from the embracing of the polarity. Recognizing that everything that we love about another human being also has a shadow side to it, and it's going to bring forth something that we don't like. And with love, there's the full spectrum of everything. So in the creation of this divine union between two people in this partnership, there needs to be a willingness to embrace and work with it all. There are, like, humanity at this time, we're still working with a lot of relational wounding, like really deep relational wounding. And it almost feels like a necessity at this time, in order to create the intimate relationships that we are desiring and craving, that we be equipped to hold space for the healing of whatever it may be that is arising for the person that we're relating with. And that requires such a clear differentiation between us and them, where they may be in trigger, they may be in blame, they may be in whatever projection they're in, and we don't take it personally. And we don't plug into those dynamics at all. There's nothing in us that needs to defend. There's nothing in us that needs to react. There's nothing in us that needs to close down and protect our hearts, because we know that it's not about us. We know that this is a sacred and precious being before us that has undergone really intense relational trauma. And now they're playing it out with us. And that gives rise to more love, where whatever energy is coming at us, it's not fed, it doesn't grow. We contribute to the healing of another human being, and that can manifest at times as, like, perhaps an experience in a relationship that is not of our preference, which can bring up a lot of doubt. Like, I don't know if this person's right for me, I'm not really feeling this. It can bring up all sorts of judgment, but know that that's all arising from a place of, like, wanting to protect ourselves. When we are fully equipped with, like, our complete and total self-acceptance, like radical self-acceptance of all that we are, all of our shadows, all of our light, we can hold that for another. When we understand union requires like a fierce knowingness of our separation. It requires us to know that is them, that is their experience, it has nothing to do with me. Because as soon as we go into that protection, defense, it becomes a karmic pattern, it becomes a karmic loop. Yeah, the knowingness of our separation actually opens us up to a compassion that heals. I'm just going to take a moment to feel into the field and see what specifically for people here will support them in their divine union relationships. Whoa, just love of yourself, like such radical celebration of yourself, becoming an embodiment of the love that it is that you wish to experience with that other, knowing that it is always sourced from within you, and it will not be a result of the other. It'll actually be a manifestation of the love that you are experiencing within you for all of life. And these divine union relationships, they're not actually about the two people coming into divine union. They're about the whole. They're about the union of the one, which is all that is. And your love is ultimately going to be in service to that by burning through the relational traumas and wounds that we are currently burning through at such an accelerated rate. It's like, yeah, and all of that is clearing the way for a deeper harmony, where it's like I'm seeing how we have these separate cells of the body, And these separate selves, they just work in perfect harmony. Like they just know exactly what their role is. They know exactly what to do to create these radiant, vital, healthy bodies. And that's what the union is like. It's like this unspoken, unnecessary harmony where the two of you just exalt one another and support each other, and there is the harmony. But know that the divine union, it doesn't just happen. There isn't just a person that comes into your life and it's like, oh, divine union with this specific person. We have to first work through everything internally that is keeping us from relating to another human being in that harmonious of a way. Let go of any ideas of karmic relationships or like, this is my twin flame, or it's really releasing those paradigms, knowing that whoever we're in relationship with, that's where the work is. Whether it's like the cashier or like our best friend or the beloved that we have a feeling it's not going to last, there's a reason why you're there. And it's time that we eradicate all blame, all victim consciousness, believing that what we are experiencing is the other person's fault. It's because of who and how they are. It is always a reflection of what you hold within, of what unconscious beliefs, unconscious behaviors, unconscious ways of relating are expressing themselves, which drew you to this specific person and are now contributing to the co-creation of this specific experience, this specific relationship challenge, if that's what you're experiencing. There is a divine perfection to the way in which everything comes together in this experience of life. Nothing that you could ever experience is not in some way a mirror of what you hold within. However, it may not be mirroring what you think it's mirroring. Because there's differentiation, there's separation. It's always reflecting something. Anytime that you can bring the focus back to you, and it's fascinating because in some ways, relationships, it's like, we make the list, like I want someone who's like this and like that, and like we have all these traits and have all these ideas for our preferences. Yet that divine union relationship actually arises when we are in service to another, and where our highest excitement, like the truth of our hearts, it's not a sacrifice, it's not a compromise, it's our highest excitement is to truly serve another, to be there with another, to exist for them in a sense, because it's like everything that exists for us, everything. And by that same token, we exist for all that is. And in this level of like intimate relationship, it helps to know that that person, everything that they say, everything that they do, all the ways in which they treat you and show up is to serve you in some way. And you are there to serve them. Even when unconscious dynamics are playing out, there's no such thing as a toxic person. Let go of ideas of like narcissist or sociopath. It's just people playing out their relational wounds, which at the end of the day are not necessarily their fault, even though it is their responsibility to heal it. It's like knowing and trusting that there's innocence behind all of it. There's no one to blame. This was a co-creation. And we can experience really intense things in a relationship, and it's like, oh, well, why is it my job to hold space for this or heal this? It's like, well, if at the end of the day it's all you, then you are the one who created this wounding that is now coming into the light to be healed. There's a perfection to it all, and when we trust that perfection, we can trust the perfection of the person before us that we are relating with, which allows us to receive them, allows us to serve them, and allows us to show up in a way that is conducive to creating the intimacy that we all desire. And then I asked, okay, what's more? And what I heard was worthiness. Feeling so worthy of that love. Knowing that there is nothing that we could do, no way that we could be, no way that could make us any less worthy. It is our birthright, it is our essence, it is who and how we are. And when we trust that within ourselves, we hold that same light for another. Where it doesn't matter how they show up, there's only love. And that doesn't mean there aren't boundaries, and that doesn't mean that we stay with them no matter what. It just means that the love is guiding us, not the fear. And then we behave in ways that truly support healing versus the perpetuation of these karmic wounds that are still so active and alive in the collective. And know that anything you heal in your relationship with one person, it has ripple effects. We're all telepathically connected. We're all weaving this web together. So anything that heals here is communicated to the totality of all. Also releasing any ideas of, it's bringing the void to our relationships as well. Stop trying to control them or turn them into something. It's just trusting the love, the love, and knowing that love is going to burn through anything that is not love. And if something is hurting, it's actually something that is burning, that's being burned away. It's a limiting belief or a trauma, because love doesn't have any limits to it. It doesn't have conditions. And it'll always only open us up to greater love. When we don't have so many ideas of what this partnership needs to be like, who they are going to be, we can allow the other person to be free, which is essential for us to really come into union and unite. And now what's coming through is repetitive. It's what I spoke to before. It's the uniting of the polarities, knowing that the duality to polarity is always going to be there. With love comes a full spectrum of every experience, of every emotion, and it doesn't mean that it's not your divine partner. It doesn't mean that it's time to close down or protect or shut down your heart. Can you allow every challenge, every hurt, every pain to be an invitation to open your heart ever more into greater love, and truly putting forth this trust in other people, that even if they're behaving from their own wounding, it's I trust you. I trust you. I trust this. I trust myself to hold space for this without getting involved in it, without allowing myself to be hurt by it. And I trust that you are growing, and I trust that you are showing up, and I trust that I am as well. It's a trust that anchors in this faith amidst, it doesn't matter how anyone is behaving, there's still this deep faith in the other being. Everything that we believe about a being, everything that we project actually impacts them. So when we trust them, when we believe in them, this can work magic for them, and this can be the support that they need to move beyond some sort of karmic pattern and grow in their relational capacity, which you then get to bear the fruits of in relationship with them.